my silence experience. How I really learned to practice paying attention. So last week I was on a 5 day silent retreat for myself. And so I want to share a little bit of what I noticed in this process of being a student of the silent instead of guiding it and teaching it. So, if you've never been on a silent retreat, there is kind of a process that goes on when you stop doing and begin to start being, which is the process of being in silence. So, at first, your mind needs to fill the silence, right? It's like there's this inner chatter in your mind, there's noise, the thoughts kind of get bombarded with it, really, and you gotta find I gotta fix this, right? This is, all in the mind. But I was able to calm that pretty easily because I kind of knew the process of this. And then I allowed myself to sit into some compassion and and really take on the opportunity to sit with what I have been teaching. Right? Sit with this 21-day challenge for those of you who have decided, I'm going to do this 21-day no complaining challenge. And so I sat with that. And when you can sit in silence, when you got nothing to do and nowhere to be and nothing to fix and nothing to figure out, you get to really experience what's beneath all of the complaints that come up. And what I realized was that the things that I complain about the most, they really have no meaning. They really don't. Not what matters to me most. The things I complain about is my mind not wanting to take me to places that are uncomfortable, like emotions that are uncomfortable or fears that come up. So when we can stay on the surface of complaining, it's our mind or our ego that is thinking it's keeping us safe. So I had this personal moment of clarity during this time, and it was like, there's such an illusion to believing that life is actually manageable. Like, I don't have control over anything out in this world. I have control over the choices I make for myself, but I have control over nothing else. Life isn't manageable. Only the choices I make are manageable. Oh, I'm going to surrender to the experience. And in that, I realized, like, I've had years of seeking for more, more knowledge, seeking for more things, seeking for more money, seeking for more success, seeking for more acceptance. And in that release of like, I don't have any control over anything. What am I actually seeking for? What if I could stop seeking and trust my intuition, or trust that the universe actually has my back? And in that, there is this deep appreciation for my life that dropped into my awareness. And in that, I let myself feel. And it was interesting because on the second day of silence, it was actually the anniversary of my dad passing away nine years ago. And I let myself sit with that, the feelings that came up with that. And again, a deep appreciation for both of my parents, who I've lost both of them now, but a deep appreciation for my parents and who they were. So blessed. But I also allowed myself to feel the deep grief in no longer having either one of them in my life. And this was such a humbling experience but in a very simple and very loving way. And the silence was my companion. There's no punishment in silence. I mean, I love silence, but there's a lot of people who are like, why would you want to do that? Because silence is your compassionate friend, not a punishment. It's a space that allowed all of me to emerge. It was uncomfortable sitting in a space where I had nothing to fix or nothing to do or nothing to figure out. It was just me with me. And there was this surprising sense of enoughness. Yeah, of enoughness that evolved throughout the 5 days that I was in silence. And it helped me to remember a lot of things that I teach and really try to live in this life. But we get busy. I get caught up in seeking things and I forget things. And what I remembered is that all I truly want, isn't out there. It's in here. It's in my heart. It's in the pause. And it's in the 4 A's. For some of you, you know exactly what I mean when I say the 4 A's, but there's 4 A's. There's appreciation, there's attention, there's acceptance, and there's affection. Everything I want, everything I've been seeking outside of me, or that I get really drawn into seeking for more of, but everything I want is right here. Everything I want is in the appreciation. An appreciation of what I already have in my life. It's in the appreciation of the good days and the bad days, the appreciation in the lessons, appreciation in the grief, the appreciation in where I feel stuck in my life. It's in everything I want is in paying attention to everything, to slowing down and paying attention to my life, to everything. From listening to somebody else as they speak, to truly listening to someone, to paying attention as I brush my teeth. There's so much wisdom in paying attention to slowing down. Right? Everything I want is in acceptance of myself, acceptance of others, acceptance in the things that I can't change. Everything I want is truly in that acceptance. Everything I want is in giving and receiving affection. Whether I'm giving a hug to someone or receiving a hug, or giving kind words to someone or receiving, kind words of affection. Whether that comes in giving some compassion to someone or myself. And for me, the deepest space of affection is when I take a deep breath. It is in that slowing down. Even when I take a deep breath, that's the biggest form of affection I can give myself. When I commute with nature, that's giving myself affection. And in that nature, I can find appreciation and I can pay attention in nature. It grounds me, it brings me in the moment, it slows me down. That's where those deep sense of acceptance comes in. And so from this space, I could really feel everything. And it was uncomfortable a lot of the times, because what came up with feeling things is some of my deepest fears. And when you're in silence, you have an opportunity to meet those fears, to feel the feelings. So again, what's beneath all the things I'm complaining about? When I took out everything that I complain about, everything, and I got deeper down to what it is that I truly want, what I'm really feeling beneath those complaints, those fears came up. So I felt them. And I played them out. I actually went through, okay, what if my deepest fears actually came true? And it was uncomfortable. I didn't need to fix it. I didn't need to figure it out. I just needed to feel it and play it out and be with it. Be with whatever came up. And I realized doing this in silence, just me in the space, that I was going to be okay no matter what. I'm not in control of anything anyway, right? Life isn't manageable. Only my choices is something that I can manage. So I'm going to stop seeking. I'm going to stop being so afraid. Stop needing to control and surrender instead. That doesn't mean I don't do anything. Oh, no, no, no. I get to still do things, but I do them from a different perspective. I do what I love. I listen to my intuition. I surrender to the experience. I pay attention. I pay attention to what's going on around me. And in practicing paying attention, I get to slow down and I get to practice appreciation. I get to practice acceptance and I get to practice affection. It's really quite simple. And then as I come out of silence and I come back into my life, it's a continual remembrance of that. Right? So that's what I'm asking this week. You don't have to go into a silent retreat to have this same experience. So that's what this week's intention is, that I'm offering it to you for the next couple of weeks, because next week is a long weekend. So slow down. That's what this intention is. Practice paying attention, which means slow down. Take moments to slow down. Take moments to ground yourself, whether it's taking a deep breath or coming into your body or communing with nature, and then turn inward without judgment and practice paying attention. What are you feeling beneath the complaints? Like pain in the body or an illness or a disease. Yeah, those are things to complain about, because pain is not a comfortable place to be in. Either is, trying to understand an illness or a disease or something big that's going on in your life, but pay attention to what you're feeling beneath that complaint. And ask yourself, what do I need right now? And just listen. Give yourself the space to listen to yourself, to your truth. And then when you're ready, that's when you know this truth about what you need. That's when you start to maybe take baby steps. Just align in with the next step, moving towards the truth. But if you haven't taken the time to feel, and I had some discomfort during this week. For a couple of weeks, I couldn't hear out of one of my ears. Of course, the universe orchestrated it. By Thursday night, my last night of silence, everything, my whole ears opened up. It was just, I had to sit with the discomfort. I had to sit with what's going on with my ear. How come I can't hear out of it? Am I going deaf? My aunt had lost hearing in an ear. Maybe this was something I had to learn to accept, right? So I'm just asking you, this week's intention, to practice paying attention to everything. Slow down, ground, turn inward, no judgment. Just practice paying attention. What's underneath the complaints? Okay. What do you need? And really, unless you give yourself the space to truly listen, give yourself that space of silence, how do you uncover what is beneath the pain or the illness or the sadness or the emotion or the complaint? You gotta be with it. You're the only one that can figure it out. Don't look out there. Up there, we have no control over that. We only have control over that. So that's what these next couple of weeks is about, my friends. And have yourself a wonderful day. Right here, tip of your tongue. Practice paying